Dan Illman, Mike Beer, the Thanksgiving Day co-feature at Churchill Downs, race number 11. It's the Grade 3 Cardinal. We're going 1.125 miles on the turf. Fillies and mares, 3-year-olds and up, running for $175,000. Before we get to the analysis, remember that the DRF Black Friday week sale ongoing right now at shop.drf.com. Head over there and save big on DRF's hottest handicapping tools. Here's the field for the Grade 3 Cardinal. There's going to be a big favorite in this race. Drawn near the outside, the 11, Starship Jubilee, 6-5, coming off 2 graded stakes wins at Woodbine, both with triple-digit Beyer speed figures. She's got good tactical speed. She's likely to be tough in this race. Let's throw up the Timeform US pace projector. Let's see where they have Starship Jubilee, the number 11. I'm a little bit surprised that they have her as far back as she is, Mike, because she's rather tactical. The 7, English Soul, when she feels like it, can get forward.
Yeah, she can. Maybe the 7 will make the lead in here. We'll see how it plays. I thought there were enough horses to make it seem like, nobody's going to be loose in this race, I don't think. And we'll just see what they do with the favorite, because you're right that she has really good tactical speed. I mean, the pace projector has to take into account the pace of her recent races, and the paces have been slow in her recent races. But if they go a little faster, I don't think she's going to be out of it.
A horse that can also be close is down towards the inside, the number 1, Stave, who was a pace setter last time out. I really couldn't find an excuse in that allowance race. She finished behind Lamari, who was in this spot as well. And while she is very solid and consistent from a Beyer standpoint, you know what you're going to get, usually between an 80 or an 85. A, I don't think that's good enough to win this race. And B, I wonder if she's just a cut below graded stakes class.
Yeah, I sort of feel the same way about her. I didn't really think she was good enough to win a race like this. I think there are plenty of horses in here who are just better than she is. Maybe she gets a good trip and gets a piece, but I couldn't use her on top.
Calio is the number 2, 12-1 on the morning line for trainer Brendan Walsh. Winner 3 starts back at Ellis Park. I like the way she won that race with a 91 Beyer speed figure. I don't think she was embarrassed in that graded stakes race at Kentucky Downs 2 starts back on a day where you needed to be on the lead, and she was trying to rally from well out of it. What did you think of her most recent race at Keeneland?
I didn't think she ran poorly at all last time. She had a really tough post at post 12. They had to take her back and just sort of sit. And I thought Gaffalione maybe waited a little too long. She didn't have a huge excuse in there, Dan. She was no threat, but I didn't think she ran terribly. As you say, her race 2 back is better than it looks. I liked her win 3 back, and I actually liked her race 4 back. I thought she ran great in her first start at Ellis back on July 7th. She'll get 9 furlongs. She just needs a trip.
The number 3 is Tweedy Show, and she's come a long way. She was entered for a $15,000 now winner of 2 life race back at Belterra in June, and she's now getting her graded stakes debut based on a couple of recent victories in slow time. She's going to have to run a much improved race to handle this, but she deserves her shot.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to take a shot in a race like this, you do it while you're in form, and she's in good form right now.
The number 4 is Maroubra. This horse is a stakes winner in France. She's yet to win from 5 starts in North America, but perhaps she's slowly improving. This will be her 3rd start since the summer for trainer Cherie DeVaux. Let's take a look at her most recent race, an allowance event at Keeneland, going 1.16 miles. Let's take her home, Mike.
I mean, she's down inside, over behind horses. She actually was in that trip for much of this race. It was not a bad trip at all for her. You see her sort of splitting horses now, and she's trying very gamely, Dan. Just isn't going to be able to make a real impact on the 1-2 finishers. I thought that she ran okay in this race. That's Calio, a couple of spots behind her. They're also trying to close. I thought they both ran fine, but they're both going to have to do better than that in this race.
I do think this extra distance is going to help her out. She seemed like more of a stayer overseas. The number 5 in here is Smart Emma. She was 7th last time out. Maybe getting back to Churchill Downs is just what the doctor ordered. She has a very good record at Churchill Downs. I do have some questions about her ability at 1 1/8 miles. And again, I wonder where she is from a form cycle. She came back off that little spring layoff. I thought the first race at Ellis was okay. Since then, I would have preferred to have seen a little more in her last 2.
I don't like her last 2 races either. I mean, she does have a race that suggests she could be a contender here off the layoff in May at Churchill, but she was beating Stave that day. Stave is not a major contender in this race.
The number 6, Nada Prada Price, is a neck away from bringing a 4-race win streak into the Cardinal. Her most recent race at Laurel, she got a really nice ride from Jorge Ruiz in the all-along stakes. She was able to control the pace, and here a 40-1 shot's going to attack her on the outside, but Nada Prada Price in the form she's in right now is just better than this, not in jeopardy. He's going to turn her away and hold off the closers. She has speed. She also is comfortable sitting. She's a very consistent, likable horse. I have to be honest, from following her on the Maryland circuit and in the Mid-Atlantic, I'm not sure about the 1 1/8.
I'm not sure about the 1 1/8 either, but other than that, it's really hard to knock this horse. I'm not going to knock her. She should get a good trip in this race. The trainer change basically makes no difference going to Eddie Keneally. She's just in really good form today. She's got great tactical speed. 8-1 on the line. I'm not going to argue with that if you like her.
7 English Soul, multiple stakes winner on the dirt, including a stakes victory at a 1 1/8. While she has yet to win on turf, she has run well on the surface on several occasions, including this allowance race at Belmont Park most recently. She is the 2B in the white cap, just moving into second right now, and she's going to be gaining slowly. She's eventually going to take over the lead very briefly and be run down by Crezia. I thought this was a good performance, but then again, when you look at the Beyer speed figure, she's just going to have to run a little faster against tougher horses.
Yeah, she is. I mean, she's a rock solid New York bred kind of horse. As you say, she ran fine in this race. There's no real excuse for her getting beaten that race. You know, I like her as a horse, Dan. I just don't necessarily like her in this race.
The number 8, Lamari, I think you can look at one of two ways. You can look at her as a consistent horse coming into the race the right way, or you can look at her and say, listen, she's been a disappointment. She's lost at short prices in her last 3 races, and maybe she's not very trustworthy. I thought she ran well when third in the Mint Julep. I don't agree with the full of run gaining. I think she was running on at the end of that race, and she ran just fine. Since then, she's disappointed, although I think her last race at Keeneland was a slight improvement. We're going to take a look at that race right now for Lamari. Daddy is a legend, is the odds-on favorite in this race. She is a very classy horse heading to Southern California, I believe, for a try in the Matriarch. And Lamari is grinding it out. She's going to run second in here. I thought this was an improved effort. She has figs in the past, and a 1 1/8 isn't an issue. I might be willing to give her one more try, but I'm starting to run out of patience.
I feel the same way about her. I think it's hard to be way against her in this race. I think there is going to be a good trip coming for her, and she's just sort of been facing maybe some better horses along the way. I don't know. I wouldn't take a super short price on her, Dan, but she's another horse. I can't really stand too strongly against her. She makes a lot of sense in this race.
The number 9 is Cash Out. She's graded stakes placed on both turf and on dirt. She's very, very consistent. She hits the board more often than not, 10 of 15. She doesn't win very often. Let's go back to her most recent turf start, 2 back at Kentucky Downs, Mike. She tried to come from out of it. She was in against a nice one, Princess Causeway. She'll eventually finish third here.
Yeah, she ran, okay in this race. Never a real threat. You're going to see her sort of rally into this race to get third, but she's never a threat to the horses who were well out in front on this field. I don't know. She ran okay in this race. I don't see the race that she's run so far anyway that makes me want to bet her in this race, though.
I think the 10 Smart Shot, Mike's kind of a sneaky long shot in here for trainer Rusty Arnold. The last time this horse went second off the layoff, it was in the Mint Julep. She was 18-1. She ran her career best race, a 92 Beyer speed figure at Churchill Downs. Last time out, to me, that race was just a prep. She didn't have a lot of pace to run at. I think it sets her up very nicely for this. The question is she good enough?
Yeah, she's going to have to take a step forward in here, but I think that she could do that. I don't necessarily agree with the hung late comment last time. I didn't really think she hung. I think there is a race that makes her a contender in here. She, as opposed to some of the other ones we've already talked about, she might actually be a really interesting price in this race.
And now we have the horse to beat, the number 11 Starship Jubilee, 6-5 on the morning line, coming off those wins on the Grade 2 Canadian, the Grade 1 E.P. Taylor, both at Woodbine. Let's watch the E.P. Taylor. She got right up close to the pace. She's in front right now, and she just keeps right on going. There was a decent group in here. A 1 1/8 is not an issue. She is very versatile from a running standpoint. She's the horse to beat, but I think it's worth noting that there are times when she doesn't run to expectations.
Yeah, I mean, that is something that I think I would at least keep in the back of my mind at a short price, is that she's disappointed at times, but overall, she's just rock solid. The distance is no problem. The running style feels like she could overcome post 11 because she's very tactical. And her last 2 races just make her almost impossible to beat in here.
The number 12 Area is a horse that Things a little bit dirtied up. I don't hold the One Dreamer against her. That was at Kentucky Downs. Some horses just don't seem to handle that surface. She did take a step up at Remington Park, a more conventional turf course last time out for Steve Asmussen. We're going to watch that race right now, and she's going to rally from a little bit off it to get the job done. She's in the blue. She's going to angle outside this gray horse right now, and she's running on at the end of this race. Only an 83 buyer, but compared to some of the others, she's relatively lightly raced. Tough post position.
I mean, listen, she's got a lot of upside, and she has some pedigree behind her, too. We'll just see if she can take the necessary step forward, because she has to improve a lot, I think, to beat this field.
Starship Jubilee, the horse to beat. We are going to try to beat her. She'll be a short price in the Grade 3 Cardinal. Let's take a look at our top selections. You're going with Kallio, the number 2, 12-1 on the morning line. I'm going to take a little bit of a chance with Lamari, the 8, maybe the last chance for Lamari. 8-11, 10-6 for me, 2-11, 8-6. Give me the idea of where you want Kallio to be early.
Well, she doesn't have a lot of speed, so she's going to be settled off the pace in this race. I just hope that she can get some kind of a trip, and maybe they go a little bit in front of her, Dan. I don't want to sit here and say that I love her in this race, and I'm not way against Starship Jubilee, but I'm sort of married to Kallio. I've been chasing her a little bit throughout the summer, and I don't think her last 2 races are as bad as they look.
12-1 on the morning line for Mike Beer's top selection, the 2 Kallio. Again, I'll take a chance with Lamari, maybe a little bit of an underachiever, but second to a good horse last time out. Daddy is a legend. I'll give her one more chance. It's the Grade 3 Cardinal. It's the co-feature at Churchill Downs on Thursday. Approximate post 422. Happy Thanksgiving.